Hi, welcome to my channel. Now we uncover the untold story of the Great Fire of Rome, 64 AD, the night an empire burned. On a warm summer night in July of 64 AD, the city of Rome, capital of the world's most powerful empire, was about to witness one of the most devastating events in human history, the Great Fire of Rome. It was a night when flames swallowed temples, homes, and palaces, changing the Roman Empire forever. Out of the ashes of destruction rose new legends, new architecture, and one of the most controversial emperors of all time, Nero. Rome at its height. By the 1st century AD, Rome was the largest and most magnificent city on earth. It was home to more than 1 million people, filled with marble temples, sprawling markets, theaters, and bathhouses. Its roads connected distant lands, from Britain to Egypt, from Spain to Italy. Mesopotamia, the empire's heart, was the Palatine Hill, where the emperor's palace stood high above the city, overlooking the bustling streets below. Yet beneath its glory, Rome was a city of contradictions. Wealthy nobles lived in luxury, while the poor crowded into wooden apartment buildings called insulae that were tall, narrow, and dangerously flammable. Fires were common in Rome, but none would compare to the inferno that was coming. The night it all began. It was the night of July 18th, 64 AD. Most Romans were asleep when the first flames appeared near the Circus Maximus, a massive chariot racing stadium. The wind quickly spread the fire through nearby shops filled with flammable goods, oil, grain, and fabrics. Within minutes, flames leapt from roof to roof, devouring everything in their path. The narrow streets acted like funnels, carrying heat and smoke throughout the city. Panicked citizens ran through the alleys, carrying what few belongings they could. Children cried, temples burned, and statues melted in the heat. One witness later described the night as a sea of fire. People could not tell whether it was day or night. The sky glowed red for miles. Panic and chaos, the fire raged for 6 days, spreading uncontrollably. Rome's fire brigades, thousands of men, tried to fight the flames, but the heat and collapsing buildings made it impossible. Buckets of water and soaked blankets were no match for the inferno. Many citizens claimed that mysterious men were seen throwing torches and shouting that they had been ordered to spread the flames. Rumors began to grow. Was this fire started deliberately? When the fire finally seemed to die down, it suddenly flared up again, burning for another 3 days. By the end, 10 of Rome's 14 districts were destroyed. Thousands were dead or missing, and more than 200,000 people were left homeless. The city in ashes. When the smoke finally cleared, Rome looked like a wasteland. Entire neighborhoods had vanished. Marble temples were cracked and blackened. Bronze statues had melted into puddles, and the once glorious forums were buried in ash. The survivors wandered through the ruins in silence. Many slept on the open hills, hungry and terrified. The emperor, Nero, was away from the city when the fire began, but he returned quickly to oversee the disaster relief. He opened his private gardens to shelter refugees and ordered food supplies to be distributed. At first, people praised him, but soon, darker rumors began to spread. Did Nero burn Rome? No story from ancient history has sparked more debate than this one. Many Romans believed that Emperor Nero himself had ordered the fire to clear space for his grand architectural ambitions. Some even claimed he stood on a tower playing the lyre while watching the flames, the famous image of Nero fiddling while Rome burned. But in truth, the fiddle did not exist in ancient Rome, and the story may have been propaganda written by Nero's enemies years later. However, Nero did take advantage of the disaster. He used the ruins as a blank canvas to design a new city, and at its center, he began construction of a massive palace complex known as the Domus Aurea, or Golden House. This luxurious palace included artificial lakes, vast gardens, and even a 100-foot-tall statue of himself called the Colossus of Nero. To many Romans who had lost everything, this seemed heartless, a symbol that the emperor cared more about his vanity than his people. Finding a scapegoat. As anger grew, Nero needed someone to blame. He pointed his finger at a small religious group that had recently spread through the empire: the Christians. At that time, Christianity was still new and misunderstood by most Romans. They worshipped secretly, refused to honor Roman gods, and were often accused of strange rituals. They were an easy target. Nero declared that the Christians had set the fire and launched one of the first great persecutions in history. Many were arrested, tortured, and executed in brutal ways, burned alive, torn apart by animals, or crucified in public arenas. This horrific chapter marked the beginning of centuries of persecution that Christians would face in the Roman Empire. Ironically, it also helped spread Christianity further, as stories of the martyrs inspired others to join the faith. Rebuilding the eternal city. After the fire, Nero introduced strict building regulations to prevent another disaster. Wooden houses were banned in central Rome, and streets were widened to stop fires from spreading so quickly. Buildings were now required to have stone walls and open courtyards for safety. He also used the opportunity to redesign the city's layout: more organized, more monumental, and more beautiful. Temples were rebuilt, markets reopened, and Rome slowly rose again from the ashes. Despite his efforts, Nero's reputation never recovered. People whispered that he had burned Rome for his own pleasure and blamed him for the empire's moral decay. The fall of Nero. Over the next few years, Nero's rule became increasingly unstable. He grew more paranoid, executing senators, nobles, and even his own mother. His obsession with art and music led him to perform on stage, something considered shameful for a Roman emperor. Eventually, his enemies turned against him. In 68 AD, just 4 years after the Great Fire, Nero was declared a public enemy by the Senate. Abandoned and hunted, he took his own life, saying, "What an artist dies in me." His death marked the end of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, and Rome entered a period of chaos and civil war known as the Year of the Four Emperors. Truth or legend? Historians still debate what truly happened in July 64 AD. Was the fire started accidentally, by careless merchants near the Circus Maximus, or deliberately by arsonists? Did Nero try to stop the flames, or secretly enjoy the destruction? We may never know for sure. Ancient writers like Tacitus and Suetonius recorded the events decades later, mixing fact with rumor. What we do know is that the fire reshaped Rome, physically, politically, and spiritually. Legacy of the Great Fire. The Great Fire of Rome left a legacy that reached far beyond its time. It changed how ancient cities were planned and built, setting the foundation for urban safety. It revealed the fragility of empires, how even the mightiest power could be brought to its knees overnight. It sparked one of the earliest persecutions of Christians, planting the seeds of faith that would one day outlast the empire itself. And perhaps most importantly, it taught that history is not just made of heroes and villains, but of people, ambitious, flawed, and human, caught in moments of unimaginable crisis. To this day, the story of the Great Fire of Rome reminds us that from destruction can come rebirth, and that no empire, however strong, is ever truly safe from the flames of change. Finally, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this World History Facts Hub channel.